Isn't culture just fucking awesome? I just love movies that take a culture that I really don't know that much about and just engross me into it. I loved it when Coco did it, and I loved it when this movie did it. Black Panther. So Black Panther is movie number 18 in the Marvel Cinematic Universe and the 6th movie in its phase 3. It's directed by Ryan Coogler, who also directed Creed, so just from that you know this movie's gonna be awesome. We first met the character of Black Panther, aka T'Challa, in Captain America Civil War. He had his own personal agenda after his father, King T'Chaka, was murdered by Helmut Zemo. So after the events of Civil War, he comes back to his home country of Wakanda, and now has to face the responsibility of taking the mantle of king. And there are a lot of things he has to face, you know, a lot of internal troubles within Wakanda, along with people from the outside world trying to get in. And now we have the first theatrical release movie I'm reviewing this year. Can you blame me? Nothing good ever comes out in January. Alright, I'm just gonna cut right to the chase. Is this movie good? Fuck yeah! This movie was awesome, and much like the main character himself, this movie has a lot of expectations to live up to. I'm not exaggerating at all when I say this film is revolutionary. It is the first superhero film of this magnitude to feature a pretty much all black cast. And not only that, but like I said in the intro, engross us into African culture. I mean, I haven't felt this engrossed in African culture since seeing The Lion King on stage. The African culture is finally getting the representation it truly deserves. I'll go over that in more detail later, but let's talk about the characters, because the acting was all around phenomenal. From the second I found out he was cast, I knew that Chadwick Boseman would be a perfect pick for T'Challa. And that character poster is actually the perfect pose for him because he does feel the weight of being not just Black Panther, but the king of a country. It's all on his shoulders. From what I know, the Black Panther is supposed to be very calm and reserved. He's not supposed to be aggressive outside of a fight because he speaks for an entire country. And he really grows as a character in this movie. When he's supposed to convey a certain emotion, he does it flawlessly. When he's at his lowest low, you feel it. He's lost as a person, really. It's not just, oh, now I'm king and I know exactly what to do with Wakanda. It's not like that at all, and they don't sugarcoat it. Other characters in this movie that were highlights to me are, first of all, T'Challa's younger sister, Shuri, played by Letitia Wright. She's more or less Q from James Bond, and what I mean by that is she provides Black Panther with all the cool technology and weapons he needs to go out and fight and do his missions. And she's also the comic relief in this movie. Yes, every Marvel movie just has to have humor, and most of it in this movie came from her. That being said, she was really funny. Because like everyone in Wakanda is like wise, you know, adults that are dealing with a serious situation. Shuri's just a kid, so she's having fun with this. She teases her big brother, you know, they have banter back and forth. It's fun. I really like her in this movie. In fact, she's probably one of my favorite characters. Then there's Lupita Nyong'o. She plays Nakia, the former love interest of T'Challa. She's a Wakandan spy, and her role is functional in the movie, and she plays her part well, but if you ask me, she was kind of lacking on backstory. Not that I require every character and their mother to have fleshed out backstories, but I don't know, something about Nakia just came off as bland to me. Like, she wasn't really that special. I mean, Lupita Nyong'o's an awesome actress. We all know this. I'm just saying, if you want to see her shine in a movie, don't pick Black Panther. The main villain in this movie is Eric Killmonger, played by Michael B. Jordan, who's a fantastic actor as long as he's not in Fantastic Four. Now, what's the most common complaint of any Marvel movie? Say it with me. The villains are weak. Oh, not here. Talk about a great backstory. Eric Killmonger's backstory, his motives, were so sympathetic to me that at a point, I almost agreed with his whole cause. Like, he's breaking down what he wants to do, what his whole plan is. I'm like, yeah, you know what? That should totally happen. But then he went too far with it, and I was like, oh, that's why you're the villain. That being said, his dialogue with Chadwick Boseman was excellent. They're hashing out their viewpoints, events that happened in the past that determined where they are now, who truly deserves the right to the throne. It's good shit. If I'm being completely honest, I haven't seen this good of a hero-villain relationship since like the first Thor movie. I'm serious. A couple of surprises to me were Winston Duke as Mbaku, who in the comics is known as Manape. He also had some funny moments, but his viewpoints on where Wakanda should go were also really interesting. Also, Martin Freeman as Everett Ross, who we were also introduced to in Captain America Civil War. He actually has a really big part in this movie. More than I thought he would have, and it was quite heroic. Props to Martin Freeman in this movie. Now, getting back to what I said in the intro, the world of Wakanda, it's true what they're saying, it's like nothing you've ever seen before. Oh my god. Seeing it on the big screen is so immersive. I mean, the set design is like the most beautiful shit you've ever seen. The vibrance of the colors, how everything just glows, is so unique to African culture. And along with that is the wardrobe. I love the costume design in this movie. Holy god. I wish I could pull off wearing stuff like this. I mean, it just adds even more vibrance to the colors of Wakanda. Another element that really engrosses you into the Wakandan culture is the music, of course. I mean, the soundtrack album has a lot of cool hip-hop, you know, a lot of Kendrick Lamar. I really like him. There's a lot of cool stuff on there, a lot of good beats. In fact, during the car chase scene, there's this song with a really good beat. I want to find that song. The soundtrack is good, but of course, what I really mean by engrossing you into the world is the score. Black Panther was scored by Ludwig Göransson. He also did the music for Creed. And much like the music in Coco really engrossed you into the world because it was all mariachi with the guitar and the trumpets, the score in Black Panther had a lot of like auxiliary percussion, like congas, bongos. African chanting, which I'm not gonna do, but it was really cool. I'll admit, there were quite a few times in this movie where I was reminded of The Lion King, and a few of those times it was thanks to the music. I already have both the score and the soundtrack, because they're just both awesome. But what I really appreciated about this movie is that it doesn't really feel like a superhero movie. In fact, I'd say this movie's more about the nation of Wakanda than even about the main character. I'd explain why it feels that way, but that does delve a little bit into spoiler territory, so I'll save that for my spoiler video. It does delve very deep into the politics of Wakanda. It's different tribes fighting over what Wakanda should be in the world. The movie is very Wakanda-centric, and in that, there are no real major ties to the larger Marvel Cinematic Universe. I mean, the only real ties are things you've seen in previous movies. This movie doesn't really push the Marvel Cinematic Universe forward as far as the whole Infinity War Thanos thing goes. And normally that would bum me out, but it's totally fine with me because I got to see Wakanda and the whole, engrossing of the culture thing. I just love that shit. The action in this movie was alright. I mean, it did get a little shaky cam-ish at times. I'm not a huge fan of that. And there are other times where I was like, oh yeah, that's definitely CG. Like the big fight between Black Panther and Killmonger, there were times I'm like, oh yeah, they're just both CG right now. There's just no getting around that for me. That being said, Black Panther throws down like a motherfucker. I mean, have you watched interviews with Chadwick Boseman and Michael B. Jordan? Their workout regimens are like super tough. And you can tell it's easy to see. It's right there on screen because they are ripped. I'm just saying. Which really conveys that these characters are prepared to fight. And that's awesome. And like I said, any given Marvel movie will have humor. And most of the humor in this film came from Shuri. But what I really appreciated about the humor in this movie is that A, there was not a lot of it, and B, it was actually funny. There were quite a few times in Thor Ragnarok where a dramatic scene would be stepped on by a bad joke and I would just facepalm. Same thing with Spider-Man Homecoming and Guardians Volume 2. I feel like last year's Marvel movies really overdid the humor. This movie fixed that up real quick because the humor was well timed and it made sense and it was clever. Guys, in the end, Black Panther is an immersive experience unlike anything you've seen before. I love the characters, the acting's really good, their backstories are really good, the music is fantastic, but above all else, the world is so established and alive, I felt like I was on vacation. So for Black Panther, I'm saying, go see this movie right now. Visit Wakanda this weekend. You will want to go back again. So Black Panther, have you seen it? What did you think about it? Whatever you think, go ahead and leave a comment. And don't forget to subscribe.